Done. Good evening and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Major Applications Planning Committee. Can I do apologies for absence first, please?
Apologies from Councillor Stead with Councillor Chaplin substituting.
Thank you. Any declarations on tonight's small agenda? We have the minutes of the meeting 21st of October. Can I take those as good? Yep. There are no matters notified in advance or urgent. There are 2 items in part 1 in the published agenda, and we're dealing with both. And that's it. There are no petitions tonight, so it's a straightforward run through. Edward, would you take us through 51 Belmont Road? I will remind members, as you're all aware, this is a prior approval, so the issues that we can look at are very strictly limited. That's the understatement of the week.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, members and Chair. Item 6 is a prior approval for 51 Belmont Road. If I could direct you to look at the presentation screen in front of you and to my rear here. We have the location plan showing the site and the constraints plan, site location plan, which is a bit unusual because it's checkered. Another site plan, the existing site layout, and the proposed site layout, the existing lower ground floor plan, existing ground floor plan, existing first floor plan, existing second floor plan, and the existing roof plan. You have the existing and proposed elevations. You have the proposed lower ground floor plan, proposed ground floor plan, and proposed first floor plan, proposed second floor plan, and the proposed roof plan. This is the aerial view of the subject site. And we've got a street view of the subject building, another street view, another street view again. This is to the rear of the subject building, showing the car parking area. Thank you, members. And the recommendation from officers is that the item be approved.
Okay. Bear in mind it is a prior approval. The Head of Planning is drawing your attention, or would wish to draw your attention to the fact the S106 requires the legal agreement to be finalised by the 20th of November. That is not an error, because, as you're all aware, the Article 4 directive is to take effect shortly. So if this legal agreement isn't finalised, the prior approval process will fall, and therefore the application may well achieve a different result. But you do have to be aware of that. So it isn't an error and it won't be being changed. Sorry, Councillor Higgins? And then Councillor Oswald, I think.
I mean, I'll just go with the officer's recommendation, really. I mean, it went a bit fast for me. It's like one of those clipper boards with people moving. But, yeah, I'll go with that.
Councillor Oswald?
Thank you very much, Chairman. Yeah, same really. I don't want to be picky, but these are a really poor set of plans on here. I can hardly read these. They're blurred, and we're supposed to decipher this. I know it's prior approval and everything else, and I think it's a good use anyway, but
I think the Head of Planning will explain that we have limited powers to demand.
We did try and get hold of better plans for this. There is a technical issue that, in theory, they don't even need to provide plans.
No.
But I've taken the view that the plans are sufficiently legible that I'm satisfied we can safely make a decision. But we did try and get better plans.
Yeah, I can understand that. Thank you very much. Through you, Chairman, I can understand that. But, I mean, if we're going to get a set of plans, well, let's have a set of plans that we can read. I'll second the proposal.
I'll hold that, just take Councillor Duncan.
Yeah, could I just say that a set of plans, more legible set of plans, was sent through, which were printed off for those who had.
There was an
the
improved set
opportunity.
circulated late this afternoon.
So yeah, I did get those. Thank you. Just to make clear that
Okay.
that was it. The other
Same
thing-
plans, but a more legible version of.
Yeah. The other thing is, I know that we're not here to consider this, but could I just ask, out of interest, do the sizes of these units comply with the minimum size requirements?
We can't consider
I know
that
we
as
ca-
an
I know
issue.
we can't consider that, but do they?
What?
Well, they're listed on here. They're listed on here, aren't they? It's just that
I'm going to do a slightly different version of. All of the units on this development have satisfactory outlook. They have windows. They have they don't strictly comply, but they offer a reasonable standard of amenity. There is one prior approval that hasn't come to committee because there's delegated authority to refuse elsewhere in Uxbridge that did have units that were sandwiched between corridors with no window openings. So, in answer to your question, this one doesn't strictly comply, but it does nonetheless provide an acceptable standard of amenity.
It is what it is, and our powers are limited. I have a proposer and a seconder. All those in favour of approval, please show. Thank you. That one's approved. Right. Item 7, the applicants. Those who do this committee regularly will recognise this has been before us twice before. You have some clarification in the report and in the addendum, which officers believe answers all remaining members' questions. Edward, would you do us a brief presentation on this, because I think we know this one rather well.
Thank you, Chair. If I could take members through item 7's presentation. We have the location plan, the constraints plan, and we have the site plan as existing. Existing basement plan, existing ground floor plan, existing first floor plan, existing second floor plan, and these are the existing elevations. You have an existing section of the former public house. And these are the proposed ground floor plan. Councillor Duncan, shall I move on? Is that okay? Sorry, proposed basement plan.
Yeah, I was going to say it's the basement.
Yeah.
Yeah, right now, though. Right. We can approve these.
Okay.
Right, go on.
Thank you. And we have the proposed ground floor plan. Proposed first floor plan.
I think the issues were further down.
Yeah.
I think the ground floor is far enough.
Right.
If I could just narrow this discussion.
Okay, so the proposed second floor and roof plan. And these are the proposed front elevations. You can see the dotted red line showing the former public house in relation to the proposed new development. And this is another proposed flank elevation with the former public house dotted in red. This is a proposed rear and flank elevation, again contrasting it with the former public house. And a proposed section through the development. A proposed cross-section through the development, again with the dotted red line showing the former public house. We've got the existing topographical survey. This is the ground floor drainage. There are a few drainage plans, so I'll whiz through them quickly, Chair and members. That's another drainage plan for the basement. And this is basically a calculation showing the ramp long section. And what we have here now are the car parking tracking. Again, the tracking. Further tracking details. And this is a plan showing the cross-section of the location. And the proposed cross-section. Okay, showing you photographs of the subject site. What you see there is the Thames Water pumping.
Yeah, members have done a site visit, so they are familiar with this one.
And this is the aerial view of the site. You've got some street views. It's the former public house adjacent to the residential dwelling. And the side garden view, another garden view, further garden view. And this is from across the river. Further street view. Chair, the recommendation from officers is that the proposal be approved. I'll hand over to James.
James has got a couple of bits.
So all I was going to do is a couple of bits of last-minute housekeeping, and then just run through a couple of my own thoughts as to why I think members should be recommending approval. So in terms of a couple of quick thoughts, the design of this building involved a lot of collaborative work with the council's conservation and urban design officer, who raises no objection, so they were heavily involved. There's no significant loss of residential amenity for neighbouring properties. With a bit of tidying up, hence the fact that this has been to committee a couple of times, I'm satisfied we're in the right place in terms of the amenity of occupiers, and the addendum has a slight adjustment to the landscaping condition, but an important one to ensure that the scheme is maintained. So the small hedgerows that were being proposed close to some of the hab room windows, that they be maintained below the sill level. I think we can condition that. I know it was something that was picked up by councillors. In terms of, I know at the site visit, because I was present at the site visit, there was a point raised in parking, but I would, not only is it compliant with our standards, but we would draw members' attention to term 6 in the 106, which removes the ability of occupants to apply for parking permits. So there's a kind of bolt and braces going on there. And in recommendation D, I'll have to seek committee's authorisation to have delegated authority to revise the date, because clearly we won't be wrapping up the legal agreement by the 31st of October. So if you could give me delegated authority to revise that. And I had an email just before the meeting, very last minute, from the Council's Secure by Design officer, who obviously looks at our committee reports, who asked if I could add the word 2016 after the Secure by Design accreditation. So it's Secure by Design 2016. He would wish to be added to our conditions when we impose them. And then the final point, as I said, I did attend this site visit. Obviously, this is a derelict site, so if members approve it, will get tidied up and brought back into use. Thank you, Chairman.
Councillor Higgins.
One of the drawings seems to be missing. I mean, it's like feast from famine, isn't it? We have hardly anything, and now we have so much we don't even know what to do with it. But there was one drawing that Councillor Duncan was concerned about, was the basement and the view, the side view, to show that it was a basement and not a flat. And that doesn't seem to be there. Can someone... we might have whizzed past it, but...
There was an awful lot of plans there.
Exactly.
I do think the basement plan is in our pack now, which it wasn't.
No, but it was just that window, that there was like, it looked like a window, but I know it was a basement.
There's quite a few more plans in the plan pack than the PowerPoint, but we didn't want to do 40-odd plans.
I think we've got enough there for tonight. I think we've also clarified all the landscaping and that it can't be higher than the windows. So I think that's answered committee's concerns. Unless anyone's got any new
one more thing.
Yeah.
Through you, Chairman, is obviously, I know the materials have come back, but can we please make sure that they are in keeping with the road? That's all I'll say.
That is conditioned.
Yeah, it's conditioned, but I want officers to make sure we do actually see the materials on this one. And on that note, I will go with officers' recommendation.
Councillor Oswald indicated. Councillor Duncan.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Yeah, I'll second that. But before I do that, on page 23, it says in the second, third paragraph about details being conditioned, drawing numbers, blah, blah, blah. It does show a new hedge being planted along the north boundary side, and it's staggered in height as it goes down. So that's addressed that. And I'm quite pleased to see that. And the other issue, of course, was the basement plans. But we've now got those, so I think that we could approve them. Thank you very much. I'll second that.
Councillor Duncan, have you got anything in addition?
It was just, are we conditioning this staggered hedge height? Because hedges grow.
The point of the addendum was to basically overcome the concern issue.
Yeah, that's the revised wording in the addendum, that's why it's there. Okay, proposed and seconded, all those in favour please show. Good, that one's approved. Thank you very much indeed for your time at 17 minutes past 6.